Okay, in this video, we're going to go over some more basic elements and more advanced elements of using FTP to manage your files and how to get your website files onto your hosting account. So what we want to do here is let's work on getting, like, let's say we want to get images from our computer that work with our website, and we want to actually load them up to our web hosting site. So you're going to log into your web hosting server, and you're going to look for your site. This particular site that we're working with is called New Site. So we'll just find it in the folder here, and we'll just double click on that and it will open up. So if we were to click like up here, notice it would open up that particular website, but we're just going to work on New Site. So if we want to create an images folder, there's two different things you can do, and I'll show you both options. The first one here is you could actually just right click on the entire images folder on the left hand side. So always remember, left hand side is your computer, right hand side is your web hosting company. So the right hand side is the files that are going to go live and onto the internet. So what I'm going to do here is on the left hand side, I'm going to highlight the folder and just choose upload. So notice as it uploads, it's going to tell me the progress of the files down here. And if I were to double click on that on the images here, you would find that it would open up here and there's going to be some different folders or files in there. So you'll see here there should be 3 files in there, and there should be some that show up. So the next thing that we're going to do here is compare the files. So you should see 3 different files there, and it does show up that way. So we're just going to double click out of that. And then what we do here, the other option here, if you want to delete that file, like let's say we want to just get rid of that entire file and all its folders, we're just going to choose delete. So that was pretty simple. And then the next thing that we want to do is let's right click, and let's say we just want to create a file called images. So let's say it's not in a folder, but the images are just laying out like this and we want to upload them individually. What we would do is go to the website, go to where we want it to show up. So I would right click here and I'm going to choose a file called images, and I'm going to select OK. And then we will double click on images, and we could highlight one file that we want to upload there, and it will take just a moment. And then we're going to go over, I'm going to open up our web browser just to show you kind of how the naming of the files actually ends up working. So we're going to go here to our website here. Okay, so you'll notice here, there's our new website here, and let's just go to images. So you'll notice here, as I went to the images folder, so every time you create a folder back here, you are actually going to create, so every time you create a folder back here, like right now we're on our new website, we're inside the images folder, and if I were to go back here, we'd be back on our website. Every time you create a folder, it's like putting the forward slash, as you see right here, into the domain. So if the domain we're working from, now I'm just going to make it simple here, was newsite.com, and I just created a subfolder for this example. But let's say our site, again, is newsite.com. As you see right here, we're dealing with new site. You have an index file. Index file is always what you need. It needs to be index.html, index.htm, index.php. If you're working with those, it has to be index something, and that's always going to be your homepage file. So that's important to also understand, and that's what it is going to actually display there. So what you see here though is that images folder here that we created is basically like adding a forward slash to that actual domain. So let's see, clicked on the wrong link here. So it's like adding a forward slash here. So it's yoursite.com / images. And if you go to that directory, you can actually see the files as they're uploaded in there. So if I clicked on that, And watch this as I refresh this. All right, it should load up in there. So there you have it. So then as you upload the files there, again, every time you create within here, so every time you go here and you create a folder, it actually is like putting the forward slash. So like again, if your site was newsite.com, it would be forward slash images to get to the images folder, if that's what it was. And notice, of course, that's not a proper domain, so that's why we're having issues there. And what it's got, also another thing that will happen here is if you do end up uploading files into a particular folder, and it, for example, like it's going to overwrite the file, like if I right clicked here, and let's say we have a newer version of it, it's most of the time always going to give you the option to overwrite. And this is important because you do want to make sure it does that, if the opportunity is there. So you do want to make sure it overwrites those files for you. So the other thing that we need here is if you're dealing with any kind of, like right here, like I accidentally uploaded these two files to the wrong folder. So all I would do here is highlight them, and you can highlight each one by hitting Control and then right click and choose Delete, and that will actually enable you to uh, delete the file. So anytime you want to delete a file, you can just right click and choose Delete. And then style sheet, like if you're dealing with a website that has CSS, that is also important because otherwise your website may not display correctly. So again, to upload a file, you can either double click on it 2 times and it will upload, or you can right click and choose upload. And one more time, left hand side, this is on your web hosting server. Right hand side, or excuse me, left hand side is your computer, all the files on your computer. And then the right hand side is actually on your web. It's on your actual web host. So it's what's going to go live and onto the internet, if that makes sense. So let's just go back here. And then there's a few other parts that I do want to jump into, and that is actually working with different names for different files as well.